Yeah.
Good morning. Committee on Parole is called to order. Today is Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. It's 8:56 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatz. I'll be serving as chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel this morning are Mrs. Carolyn Stapleton and Mr. Pete Freeman. We are at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. And I'd like for the staff here at headquarters to please introduce yourself for the record.
Jasmine Thompson.
Francis Abbott.
And our first remote location this morning is at St. Charles Parish Jail. Sir, is there any staff in the room with you?
Yes, ma'am.
With the staff at St. Charles, please introduce yourself for the record.
Sergeant Kimberly Ball.
All right, good morning, Sergeant. Thanks for helping us this morning. And Mr. Duckworth, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Travis Duckworth, 425654.
All right, Mr. Duckworth, we're here for a revocation decision this morning. We're going to put a form up on the screen. I'd like to look at it, verify if that's your signature. Just stand by, we're going to put it up for you. Is that your signature, Mr. Duckworth? Dated
Yes, ma'am.
February 15th of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, based on that information, Mr. Duckworth, you're not eligible for appointing counsel. Are you ready to proceed this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to read the allegations against you, and then I'll ask you to enter a plea. You'll enter guilty or not guilty, and then we'll have a conversation about it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 4. And it states you were involved in criminal activity by pleading guilty to domestic abuse battery and received a 6-month parish prison suspended sentence, and you were placed on 12 months of active misdemeanor probation. How do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Guilty.
Okay. And then there's condition number 10. On December 25th, 2023, at the time of your arrest, you were $819 in arrears towards parole supervision fees. How do you plead that violation?
Guilty.
Okay. Would you answer Mrs. Stapleton's questions, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Duckworth, what happened the night, I mean, it was Christmas, that there was the altercation between you and Miss Brown? What happened?
I just let my emotions override my intellect and made a rational decision. And just it's something I really can't explain. I've just asked her for forgiveness and just hope that she forgive me. And
I see you pled guilty to it.
yes, ma'am.
You did get a reduced charge, which that helps you out. And I hear that you've owned the responsibility for it. I don't, you do know there were 3 children in the house when all this happened also.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you pled guilty to being in arrears also.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna pay that with when I got my income tax money, but I ain't make it therefore.
Okay. I've noticed that you've been in some classes during the time that you were in there. Do they have domestic abuse classes, domestic violence classes for y'all?
Not here.
Not
No,
there?
No, ma'am.
If that would be very helpful for everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
To hear about. So I noticed that, but I didn't know that it wasn't offered to you.
Yeah, when I got on the probation, they have the classes through the probation. They said I could take the class through the probation, but I never got out of jail yet.
Okay, so when you do get out of jail, is that something you want to do?
Yes, ma'am. Me and her, we would like to take some classes.
Okay, so y'all been in contact and y'all decide to stay together? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, she's your fiance, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We were supposed to be married.
Yeah. I'd read that in the letter and everything. Well, you definitely need it. So it'll never happen again. I mean, it was very serious. I know you know that she
Yes, ma'am.
has some very serious injuries and things. So, yeah, okay, well, that's all my questions.
All right, Mr. Duckworth, where is she today, Ms. Brown?
She at home. She at home.
Did she know you were having a hearing today?
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't want to participate?
I don't think she knew she could have participated.
Oh, okay. Anything you want to say to us before we vote?
No, ma'am. I appreciate y'all time though.
Thank you, sir. All right, I think we're prepared to vote. Ms. Stapleton?
My vote today is to revoke based upon the domestic violence battery. That was very serious and your arrears.
Mr. Freeman?
My vote is to revoke for new criminal activity as a threat to the domestic violence.
All right, Mr. Duckworth. My vote also is to revoke because you pled guilty to violating the conditions of your parole. Seek out some classes if they have any there that can help you out. Good luck to you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Sergeant, that concludes our business at your facility. Thanks for accommodating us today.
What did they say? No, don't touch that. I'm not gonna be revocated.
Oh, no, I'm looking at.
Revocation.
Is that it? It's 8 line up, you up next. You up next?
Get the cell next, one completed.
Okay. So let me make that a little bigger for you. You want it bigger?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't that right? Did we mess up something? Hawkins, wait. What is it? Oh, there they go.
Good morning.
Good morning,
morning.
baby.
The parole, we are reconvening. We're at Riverbend Detention Center on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. It's 9:07 a.m. Good morning, Mr. MALBREAUX. Is that you?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
My name is Jordan MALBREAUX. A DOC number is 631-911.
All right, Mr. MALBREAUX, we're here for a revocation decision this morning. Let me introduce us to you. My name is Cheryl Renanza. This is Mrs. Stapleton to my left. Mr. Freeman is to my right. I'm going to read some information into the record and ask you to enter a plea. But first, we're going to put a form up on the screen. I need you to verify if that's your signature. You stand by, you'll see it in just a second. Can you find this form?
we got it.
You got it? Is that your signature dated February 27th of this year? Mr. MALBREAUX, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's
Is
it.
that your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on the information contained in that questionnaire, you're not eligible for an appointed counsel this morning. Are you ready to proceed with the revocation hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
And let me recognize, I think we have Ms. Chandrika Jones, who's joined us. She wants to speak on your behalf, and your mother is also trying to connect, I believe. And and we'll hear from her at the appropriate time. Let me read the allegations against you. You're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 4. And it states, on May 30th, 2023, you were arrested for domestic violence with child endangerment, possession of synthetic marijuana and drug paraphernalia by Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office. On December 12th, 2023, you were convicted possession of synthetic marijuana and drug paraphernalia. The charge of domestic abuse with child endangerment was not processed after the victim signed an affidavit. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
That is the domestic violence, or that's the synthetic?
It's all of it. You were arrested for domestic violence with child endangerment, possession of synthetic marijuana, and drug paraphernalia. So
Not guilty.
Not guilty. And then we have condition number 10, which says you have made no payments and are currently $884 in arrears on your fees as of June 6, 2023.
That is true.
So how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
I'm guilty on that.
Okay. Would you answer Mr. Freeman's questions, please?
Okay, Mr. MALBREAUX, what happened? What went down between you and your girlfriend?
Well, that night, she works at a nursing home. She deals with people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And I do know that she got struck by one of her residents at her job. She came home very upset, very aggravated, asked to see my phone. I gave her my phone. She seen different women in the phone, and she told me to get out the home. And I told her I wasn't going anywhere. And she said she was going to call the police. And when she said she was going to call the police, I up, got my stuff, I left. We were texting, and while we were texting, I told her I was about to come back to the house and apologize. And on my way walking back to the house, that's when the police stopped me, and I did have the synthetic marijuana on me, which I can accept that. You know, I pled guilty to that. And I was never convicted of drug paraphernalia. I was only convicted of the synthetic. The drug paraphernalia was dismissed prior, way before the domestic was dropped. But the domestic, she signed the affidavit like within a week or two when I come to jail. So that's not what got the charge dismissed. Her willing to testify on my behalf, saying that it was all a misunderstanding and she just made the story up. That's what got them to drop the charge completely. And as you look into my records, I've never ever been an aggravated offender. I've never been convicted of a crime against a person or anything of that nature. You know, yes, I have dealt with a drug problem, and I can admit that. You know, and if given another opportunity, you know, I would put myself into a 30-day rehab. I'll go to NA meetings. I'll get a sponsor. I'll do all the things that I need to do to be a productive citizen of society, and better yet, a better man and a better father to my kids. Yes, sir.
Why didn't you do that already? I mean, you got a terrible drug problem.
Yes,
You've
sir.
been every program we have. I looked trying to figure out where I could send you, but you've already been through. I think you've been through Blue Waters and the Concordia, Steve Hall.
I only been through Concordia and the Steve Hall program.
Right, the best we have.
Yes, sir. I
You
completed.
can't kick your drug habit, right?
Well, I mean, I was sober for the majority of the time I was out, but I end up dealing with some things where I can't make an excuse for me using again, you know, but the triggers, you know, I fell victim to the triggers, and I was dealing with a lot going on, and that's what happened. I can't, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and deny the fact or anything like that.
Yeah. And how long have you been in jail? 9 months?
11 months, next month make a year. And I've been sitting about 4 months, going on 5 months without a charge.
All right. I have no further questions.
I have no questions.
All right, well, let's hear from Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones, would you like,
Yes.
what would you like us to know?
Well, basically everything he said was actually true. And that's the same thing I had wrote to y'all. And I had told the other men that I had been talking to about it.
You're still in a relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the nature of that relationship?
The nature, we still together.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. It is Ms. Bryant. Are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, what would you like us to know?
Well, I'm sorry. I have to step out of my classroom. I just think that my son is not a violent person. Never has been, always been very mild. He has made a lot of mistakes. A lot of it stemmed from drug use, drug abuse, which for a long time I was unable to understand because I'm not privy to it. But since he was 19, he hasn't had a chance, honestly, to live a normal adult life because since the first conviction, it has been, the cycle of drug use, like in jail. So if you're looking at paper, and I know that, the law is the law. I'm not making an excuse. But when you look on paper, it's like, golly, all he does is just, commit all these crimes when really a lot of it is just drug abuse and it's just in my experience, I can't speak for anybody else, but the constant jail time is not rehabilitative. It hasn't rehabilitated him because I don't know if you guys are aware, you can get just as much drugs in jail and you can out. And if that's a person's vice or issue, it's not helping. I do know that he has been in a program when he was probably 20, probably again when he was about 23. I don't know about any other program that he's been in lately. Now, we did try to take him to rehab in October of 20, not last year, because he was locked up, 2022, right after he got out. We were taking him to a rehab, but they kept denying us, saying that he needed to be in a mental institution and not in a drug program. We went to two different places. And so with that being said, we wound up going to Ochsner. Then that's when he was actually diagnosed with a bipolar disorder. And so after that, I think that, you know, just the synthetic marijuana use combined with the bipolar disorder, I mean, the chemical imbalance just was too much. But I do believe, and honestly, my son is intelligent, that he can be a productive member of society. I honestly believe he has the means, he has the support. I mean, we're gonna support him through this whole process.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you so much for taking time out of your classroom to speak to us. We appreciate it. And thanks for
Yeah,
that.
you hear they're quiet too, okay.
Yeah, that's good.
That's really impressive. Okay. Mr. MALBREAUX, is there anything you'd like to say to us?
I just accept my responsibility as far as the synthetic marijuana, but honestly, I never touched that woman. That's not even my MO. And I just hope and pray that, God touch your heart to give me another chance so I could just try to do what's right and be there for my children and my mother too.
Okay, here to vote. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. MALBREAUX, like stated earlier, I mean, I don't know where I would send you. I really don't. You've had a lot of opportunities in the Department of Corrections. You can't kick that drug problem. You were found guilty of the synthetic marijuana. My vote today is to revoke.
Mrs. Stapleton?
That's my vote also, based upon the drug issue.
All right, Mr. MALBREAUX, my vote today, I'd be willing to give you a shot with some special conditions. That would be, that you do get treatment for your mental health disorder. I think maybe your drug use has to do with self-medicating, maybe perhaps to address some of those issues. However, you received 2 votes to revoke your parole. So the end result of today's proceeding is that your parole is revoked. I am going to request, though, that you do be moved to a facility where you can get some mental health evaluation and help with that issue, which may help with your substance abuse issue as well. But today, Mr. MALBREAUX, your parole is being removed.
So can I ask a question?
Yes.
I can be revoked on a misdemeanor?
Yes.
I had no knowledge of that.
Off at 9:19. Oh, I'm sorry, we have another one there? Okay, sorry. And Mr. Harris? Can you step out and ask him to send in Mr. Harris?
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to understand.
Harris.
How you work it?
Say how you work it. They revoked me of a misdemeanor. Misdemeanor synthetic charge, they revoked me.
Okay, Mr. Harris, good morning. Your microphone's on mute. Do you see a microphone? You can. Yeah, it's still on mute.
What about now?
Yep, that's it. That's good. I can hear you. Good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please.
NQUEL Harris, 568158.
Yes, sir, Mr. Harris. Let me introduce the panel to you. I'm Cheryl Renatza. Seated to my left is Mrs. Stapleton. To my right is Mr. Freeman. We're here for a revocation decision this morning, and we're going to put a form up on the screen. I want you to verify if that's your signature. Is that your signature at the bottom of that page dated?
Yes, ma'am.
That is your signature.
Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
So based on that information, your answers to those questions, you're not eligible for appointed counsel this morning. So are you ready to proceed with your revocation hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. And then Mr. Freeman will be asking you some questions. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You're accused of violating condition number 4, and it reads, you have failed to refrain from criminal conduct as evident by your arrest January 28, 2024 for the charge of domestic abuse battery. That charge was no billed in the 19th DC. However, officers observed injuries on the victim. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Not guilty.
Then there's condition number 10, which says you have made no payments and are currently $1,008 in arrears on your fees. How do you plead to violating number 10?
I'm guilty of that one, ma'am.
Okay. Would you answer Mr. Freeman, please?
Okay, Mr. Harris, tell me what went on 1/28/24.
It was really just a misunderstanding. Me and my girlfriend, she was trying to get her car fixed, and the guy come over, and he was just trying to charge her money just to look at the car. Instead of, we was telling them what was wrong with the car already, but he tried to charge her $50 to just look at the car. So, me and my girlfriend, me and him, we didn't get in no argument. I just told him, like, if you're not gonna fix the car, you can go ahead and leave. And me and my girlfriend, we just went in the house and we had a disagreement because she said I was wrong from telling him that he can leave. But I was basically trying to help her out dealing with the car situation without, I'd rather get the car fixed than to just have it sitting there or a person just coming and look at it. But it wasn't no hitting though. That's why I'm really trying to understand where the injuries come from. Like it wasn't no hitting at all.
But y'all did wrestle? I mean, I
No.
see you said y'all were wrestling.
No, sir. It wasn't no physical contact. That's what I'm not understanding. She was trying.
Listen to me, this is your statement. While speaking with Mr. Harris, he advised that he got into an argument with Miss Lee, but he never hit her. He advised they began wrestling, and all he did was grab her by the shoulder. He advised that incident took place in the bathroom.
No, sir. I was trying to wonder that statement right there. That's why me and the judge, that's why I guess the judge dismissed the charges up in the courtroom. Is because my girlfriend, she come to the courtroom and she basically explained the same thing, that ain't none of that take place.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That does happen. Deputies also observed the bruises on Miss Harris around her neck. She did drop the charges. Haven't y'all had problems in the past? Haven't law enforcement been called on y'all in the past?
No, sir, never.
Okay, you've had any domestic violence problems in the past?
No, sir. I had an aggravated battery. That's what I'm on parole for, but I never had no domestic abuse battery.
Okay. Did aggravated battery involve a woman?
Sir?
Did aggravated battery involve a woman?
Yes, sir, but I basically pleaded out to that. But that was a nothing too, but it was just was so much time up on the table that I just took the deal. But you know, it's because I really didn't have no help when it came to the counseling or whatever. So I didn't have no help. So I really didn't know what to do at the time. So I
Okay.
basically,
Yeah, okay, are y'all still seeing each other?
who? Which one?
You and Brittany Lee?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have this is my first time I ever was actually doing right. I had a job. I actually just got a house. I'm just trying to, I ain't been home in years. So I've been trying to build a relationship with my daughter. Like it wasn't me trying to get in no trouble or anything like that there.
Okay, you have a full-term date of 11/18/24. So no matter what we do today, you're gonna be getting out in 6 months. I have no further questions.
Where is Miss Lee this morning?
She was trying to do the Zoom, but she said her phone didn't want to let her download the Zoom app. So I guess she was trying to call. She was trying to call the place. I just got off the phone with her. She was trying to call a place to see how to do it or how to get in touch with it or how to do it. But I guess she didn't make it.
Okay. Anything you want to say to us before we vote?
Yes, ma'am. I just need a chance. Like, I ain't give no problems through my whole little time that I've been on parole. I ain't give no time. All I do is go to work and come home. I ain't gonna sit here and try to pull y'all legs or try to, make nothing feel sorry. But I'm just trying to build a relationship with my daughter and, with Brittany child. Like, and I actually been doing a pretty good job. And I just need a good little chance just to try to make myself better. Like all I'm trying to do is just make myself better to the society. Like it really wasn't no harm or nothing like that there. I just was really just trying to get them to understand that, don't try to get over on her because she a lady, and you trying to charge her $50 just from checking her car out when you're not even a mechanic. You're not
Right.
really even a mechanic.
Okay, well, we appreciate your comments. So,
Oh. She is not registered as a victim. She didn't want to register as a victim. She didn't want to be on you. She just was looking, listening.
okay,
I gave her the Zoom thing before she's watching it.
okay.
Yeah.
She did communicate, Ms.
Okay.
was able to communicate. I guess she's just watching it this morning.
Okay.
All right, I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Harris, you don't have much longer left. So I want to do something to make sure when you get out, you stay out. Okay. Obviously y'all have had some problems, so my vote today is going to be to do not revoke, but to add the special condition that you attend a domestic violence class.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right, Mrs. Stapleton?
I was gonna revoke you. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yes, ma'am.
I take a poor view to domestic violence, but I do agree with with Mr. Freeman that the special conditions of you receiving domestic violence classes or seeking out classes. And if you went full term, I don't think these classes are offered in our prison system. It doesn't seem like so. I think that's very valid. So I'm in agreement with Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, and Mr. Harris, I do agree. I think you need some domestic violence prevention classes that will help you.
Yes, ma'am.
Continuing to build a relationship with your daughter. So my vote is the same. Do not revoke. Add a special condition that you enroll in and complete the domestic violence prevention program. Your parole officer will help to get you signed up for that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. When I show up to the
Okay, when you get out of there, you need to go straight to the probation office. And
Yes,
they're gonna set you up for that class.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I make sure I complete
Sure,
it.
you go to that class And, don't you mess with Miss Lee unless she wants to.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
Don't
Yes,
you
sir.
bother.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Harris, good luck. We don't want to see you again.
You won't. I
Okay.
appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our business there at Riverbend. We're going to sign off. It is 9:32. All right, good morning. The Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're in Orleans Parish on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. It's 9:35 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatza. Is there anybody in the room with you? You're by yourself? No, there's a staff member. We'd like the staff to introduce themselves for the record. That's okay. That's okay. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Morning, my name is Lonnie here,
You're Lonnie?
ma'am.
Oh, okay, let me get to the right one. It was on the wrong case.
Is this on?
Yes.
I was learning so long.
Yeah. Then you stand by. Okay, I got the right case then, sorry. And you have, let me introduce us. I've introduced myself. Seated to my left is Mrs. Stapleton, and to my right is Mr. Freak. Now you have, counsel with you this morning, I believe. Is Ms. Bennett on the line with us? Is Ms. Bennett on Zoom with us? Okay. We had the other guy first, so just stand by. We're trying to get the folks here for you. Can you put us on mute? Okay, they're here. All right. So we've introduced Mr. Rowe in ourselves. So we'd like for counsel and the advocate to please introduce yourselves.
Good morning. My name is Ariane Bennett. I'm counsel for Mr. Rowe.
Good morning. My name is Mia Barr. I'm his client advocate at the Public Defender's Office.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, Mr. Rowe, I'm going to read the allegations against you, after which I'll ask you to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and then we'll have a conversation about it, and we'll hear from your representatives. We also have, so you know, your mother is also on Zoom observing this morning.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 4, and it states, the violation states, you were arrested on August 29, 2023, and booked for convicted felon in possession of a firearm and illegal possession of a stolen firearm. That charge was refused on February 5th, 2024. Now, how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
I plead guilty.
Then we have condition number 5. It states that you were arrested August 29, 2023, and booked for convicted felon in possession of a firearm and illegal possession of stolen firearm. Again, that was refused February 5th, 2024. So how do you plead to violating condition number 5?
Not guilty.
And then we have condition number 10. You are having a rearage of $378 in supervision fees. How do you plead to violating number 10?
Guilty.
Okay. So you pled guilty to violating condition number 4, which deals with the arrest for the firearm, but you pled not guilty to number 5. Tell us about what happened to you.
They arrested me for a gun. You know, I come to jail. I know I made a mistake, you know, from having a weapon on me. And
Why did you have a weapon on you?
because I've been through a lot. I've been shot up. I've been, living in a neighborhood that's violent. You know, that's the only reason why I had the weapon, for my safety.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we hear from your client advocate or your attorney, whoever wants to tell us a little bit about what's working with you.
I can go first. I can go first. So I've represented Mr. Rowe for the entire life of this case at this point. And in all of our conversations, when Mr. Rowe was arrested, and through the life of this case, and subsequently, since I've closed this case out and we've been preparing for the parole board, you know, Mr. Rowe and I have talked extensively about his life. We've talked about him being a victim of shootings, and we have talked about his possession of a gun in this case. And my understanding from all of those conversations is that Mr. Rowe has been released from DOC from doing prison time in the past and has never received any type of reentry support. And this has led to him ending up in the exact same neighborhoods with the exact same people around him. And this is a pattern that he wants to break now. As he just said to the board, he was concerned for his own safety. He was living in a place near the people that had previously shot him. And this pattern is going to change because of the reentry support that he will receive from our office that I know Ms. Barr can talk about more fully, which is that he has children and a family that he wants to be there for and who he wants to care for. And he knows that he cannot do that if he goes back to prison now. And through reentry support, through moving to a different neighborhood, through getting involved in intervention services and mental health treatment, those are the things that are going to make this different for Mr. Rowe. And that going to prison hasn't changed that pattern. It has just released him back into the exact same place he can find housing, which is near the people that have shot him now at least twice. And so I'll turn it over to Ms. Barr to explain kind of more of the reentry support that we intend to provide Mr. Rowe. And I just want to note that he has enthusiastically engaged with me for this entire case, and also all of the staff from our office that have worked with him, and has spoken to us extensively about why he wants this opportunity to be different for him.
Great, thank you. Ms. Barr?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Mia Barr, and I'm a client advocate at the Orleans Public Defender's Office. I'm speaking today on behalf of Lonnie Rowe, whom I've worked closely with over the last few months. I've come to know him as motivated, thoughtful, intelligent, and intuitive. I've collaborated with him, his family, and Ms. Bennett to create a release plan that would allow for a safe and secure reentry to the community, and I'm here to respectfully offer an alternative to revocation that will more appropriately address the situation at hand. Lonnie is determined to create a new path forward for himself despite his past. While incarcerated on these current charges at OJC, he has, for the first time in his life, begun to understand the significance of the trauma he has yet to work through. He admits that for his entire life, he has been in survival mode, which has prevented him from acknowledging that trauma and beginning to meaningfully work through it. He is eager to continue the work of managing his triggers and learning new coping skills. Lonnie has become a leader in the jail, and he's become a dependable figure on his tier. He's frequently the one called upon to break up fights, help others in need, and calm people down. And he's really proud of this new role that he's created for himself. He also has begun the most trusted job in the jail, which is cutting people's hair, which has inspired him to do his best to work towards opening up his own barbershop one day. Far beyond that entrepreneurial endeavor, however, Lonnie's biggest inspiration is his 3 children, and his dream is to be the father to them that he didn't have in his own father. While the essential first step is returning home, the most important step is remaining home. And because Lonnie has successfully completed probation before, we are confident in his ability to remain compliant with any supervision requirements if released back on parole. To help him reach his goals, I've referred Lonnie to a wide array of wraparound social services, including the First 72 Plus for reentry support and one-on-one coaching, Jackson Hands of Change for mental health treatment, YMCA Yes, which is their educational services program for one-on-one high-set tutoring, the FIT Clinic for medical care and a one-on-one community healthcare worker, and CEO Works for employment training and financial coaching. There's more information about all of those services in the packet that that Ms. Bennett submitted for this hearing. And I do want to underscore that it is never my job to sign a client up for a program that they do not express any interest in. All of these programs have come about because Lonnie has requested them and because he is eager to engage in them and dedicated to completing them. In summary, even in the face of his present circumstances, Lonnie has remained steadfast in his determination to return home to his family, his mom and his children, in order to build a new life that he, his siblings, his mom, and his kids can be proud of. In addition to all his family support, he will have my continued support upon release, and I'll remain available to assist in service access and coordination, including benefit applications, to make sure that he is fully compliant and supported. I'm confident that he will succeed in taking full advantage of a second chance by following the release plan that he and I have put together. And thank you for your consideration.
Ms. Barr, how long have you been working with Mr. Rowe?
I was brought on to his case about 2 or 3 months ago.
Thank you. Mr. Rowe,
Ma'am,
tell us about your work on the tier.
I work on a tip. Well, I'm a good person, you know. I'm not bad, and they got a lot of young brothers that need help. You know, we do Bible study, we do prayer call, you know, and I help with the Muslims. I cut hair. The deputies let me go around cutting hair, and you know, I just gotta communicate with people. You know, they like me. I cause confusion down on the hill. But when a fight break off, all of a sudden I try to get people to come together as one.
So tell us about your thoughts about the reentry plan they put together. I want to hear it from you. What do you think about it?
I think it's a good idea for me because I never had experience to go to classes of a job or anything like that. The first program I ever went to was the first 72 when I was on the street. When I came home, I was in a program for like 4 months, and it was real good. It was teaching me how to get back to society, get a job, learning. It was good for me. And I would love to go back to it.
What about changing where you live?
Student,
What about changing where you live, moving to a different neighborhood?
changing, I don't know. I could stay from around the neighborhood, but you know, my mother, she still stayed in this neighborhood, so I gotta go see her, take care of her, you know. And I'm gonna have to try to see if I can work with it, you know. Not to be around the wrong crowd. I know that now. Not to be around the wrong crowd.
Gun. You can't have a gun. You cannot have a gun, period.
I know.
That's what you were on probation, on supervision for, right?
Yes, ma'am.
One of the charges, and so you knew better. I mean, you know, you're a fifth offender.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew better than that. But I agree. I mean, I heard what your lawyer and Ms. Barr said about, you know, you get out of jail, you go back to the same place, back to the same neighborhood, you back to the same things. So change of scenery is what you need.
Ma'am.
All right, you have any questions? Any questions? All right, I think I'm ready to vote. You know, when I came in after looking at the paperwork and looking at the films that I saw that was submitted by the body camera footage, I'm ready to revoke. However, I do think that the plan worked out for you by Ms. Barr and Ms. Bennett is a viable plan if you take advantage of those services. My vote today is going to be do not revoke and add a special condition to the terms of your supervision, and that is that you do comply with the reentry plan set forth by the Public Defender's Office. And I want to be sure that you do get the mental health services and that you enroll in a GED program. I want you to get your high set, your high school diploma.
Wow.
That's my vote. I'm just one. Mrs. Stapleton?
I see that, to me, you do keep going back to the same neighborhood. And I did hear you just say that that's where your mother's at and that you're gonna feel pulled to go back to that same neighborhood again. I did listen to your attorneys and, everything they had to say, which was very important. But my personal feeling is that, the fact that you had a gun on you and you are a fifth offender, you did know better than that. And that's why you, in the video, was prepared to run. So for that reason, I'm going to I'm going to revoke today.
Mr. Freeman?
Okay, like Ms. Stapleton said, you're a fifth offender in your own profile. Ms. Renats pointed that out. So you knew not to have that gun, and I just can't, as a former probation officer, vote for anyone to be carrying a gun out there that shouldn't be. So my vote is to revoke.
All right, Mr. Rowe, you got 2 votes to revoke, 1 vote that was in your favor, but so the outcome of today's proceeding is your parole's being revoked. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Introduce yourself, sir. Tell us your name and DOC number.
Walden, Matthew, 574-434.
Yes, sir. And we have joining us, let's see, we have, my name is Cheryl Renatza. This is Mrs. Stapleton seated to my left, Mr. Freeman seated to my right. Joining us by Zoom, we have Ivory Hickman, who will be speaking on your behalf, and your cousin Nisha Matthew, who's here in support, just observing. We're going to put a form up on the screen. I'd like for you to verify if you recognize it, and if that's your signature at the bottom of the page. You see that? Is that your signature dated March 1st, 24?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Matthew, based on that questionnaire, that your answers to those questions, you're not eligible for appointed counsel. So are you ready to proceed this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to read the allegations against you and you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and then we'll have a conversation about it. We'll hear from Ms. Hickman, and then you'll be allowed to make a statement before we vote. Ready? All right. You are accused of violating condition number 3, and it reads, the allegation is that you failed to get permission from your parole officer before making any changes to your address and failed to get written permission to leave the state of Louisiana. How do you plead to violating condition number 3?
I'm not guilty.
There's condition number 4, and that allegation is that you failed to refrain from criminal activity as evidence of your arrest on March 23rd, 2023 in Harris County, Texas, for aggravated assault on a family member, theft, and a warrant for absconding. All charges have been refused due to the victim not wanting to pursue charges. But how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Not guilty.
There's condition number 5. That allegation is you failed to refrain from owning or possessing a firearm as evidenced by your arrest on March 23rd, 23 in Harris County, Texas for aggravated assault of a family member, specifically a firearm. How do you plead to violate? Not guilty?
Not guilty.
And then there's condition number 6. You failed to provide any proof of employment.
Not guilty.
Then last is condition number 10. You failed to pay supervision fees. You're currently in arrears in the amount of $2,331, and you also owe a $65 processing fee. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Right? So tell us about your arrest in Harris County. What was that all about? Why were you arrested?
I was arrested because me and my girlfriend got into it. Me and her sister, and police was called.
Well, but so what happened?
I was cheating. I was cheating on her, and
Why'd you have
that was the problem.
why'd you have a gun?
I didn't have one.
What was the weapon?
They found the gun, but it wasn't me. I was not convicted of none of that.
Well, let's see. Typically, you refused to get out of a car and took out a small handgun. Only way he said, the only way he was going to leave her alone was if he dies, she dies, and they both die. Mr. Matthew also pointed his gun in the direction of Miss Hickman's sister.
I did. This is my first time even hearing that. That's not my statements if that's what they're saying. I never even made a statement.
Now, there were other witnesses to the incident. So were you working?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you provide proof of employment to your parole officer?
My charges happened in Texas. I had relocated to Texas for I don't know which storm, if I know the name of it. I don't know if it was Gustav or what, but it was in 21. I don't know the name of the storm, but me and my parole officer I talked to him about leaving New Orleans because it was attempts on my life. I came home December 7th. The first day I came home, I wasn't home 24 hours, and something happened. Somebody shot the car up and killed the female that I was in tow with. So a couple of weeks after that, the same kind of incident happened again. And I was telling him, like, this was going on in my life, so I need to, like, relocate to Texas. I have family out there I can stay with them. And he was telling me I had to go through a process and everything. So in the midst of waiting on the process, the storm happened. When I went out there, my cousin had a job for me already set up, so I just stood out there.
And you never did finish the process, did you?
No, ma'am.
And you never did continue working with your parole officer to get that done?
No, when I talked to him about it, he was like, I had to quit my job and come back to Louisiana, but I was trying to tell him, is there any kind of other way I can pay my fines and fees and just, y'all could just relocate me out of here without doing it? He was like, he didn't know. So during that time, he just was out of touch.
Yeah. Right. Let me hear from Ms. Hickman. Ms. Hickman, are you on the line with us?
Yes, ma'am.
What would you like to say to us?
As far as the incident that happened between me and him, I already told everyone that that was a false statement that I made. I was upset that he wouldn't stop cheating on me. When I made that call, he didn't have a firearm. He didn't put me in no immediate danger. He also didn't do anything or say anything. All those charges were dismissed here as well because I did come forward and let them know that I did tell that lie. As far as working, he was working here at a nursing home. The situation with him leaving, I didn't know him then. I didn't find out about all of that until afterwards. But the same story that he's telling is the same story that I've heard. It was 2 attempts on his life, and when he got here and we met, he was already working. He was helping me pay bills. He was helping me take care of children, of my previous children before him. And then we also just had a daughter together as well. And we were getting prepared for that when I made that phone call and started all of this madness. I've apologized to him for all of that, hoping that we can move forward so he can continue to help me raise my children, also be in his daughter's life as well. But everything else, I've already stated that that was a lie. As far as he didn't have a firearm, he had keys, a set of keys to my vehicle, which I had a set of keys to them as well. So he had permission to be in the car. He didn't put me in any immediate danger either.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Mr. Matthew, anything else you want to say to us?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Matthew, the report and the witness statements, other than Ms. Hickman, are not the same story that you and she are telling today. So I'm ready. I'm prepared to vote. My vote today is to revoke your parole. I find you guilty of violating the conditions of your parole. You'll have an opportunity to reapply at such time you're eligible to do so. I encourage you to do that. Ms. Stapleton?
I agree completely.
Mr. Freeman?
I also concur. You were definitely out of state in Texas, which is automatic revocation.
All right, sir. Today, Mr. Matthew, your parole is being revoked. Thank Ms. Hickman for her comments. We're going to sign off from the Orleans Justice Center. It's 10:04 a.m. All right, good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're at the Southwest Transitional Work Program Facility on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. It is 10:12 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatz. I'm serving as today's parole chairman, panel chairman. My colleagues, to my left, Mrs. Stapleton, to my right is Mr. Freeman. Is there any staff there in the room at Southwest?
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning.
Cheryl Cook.
Okay, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Thanks for helping us out today. And is this
Who's first? Is it Davin? This should be
Davin.
that.
Yes.
Davin. Let me change people here for a minute. I wasn't sure which one.
There he is. All right, Mr. Batiste, introduce yourself. Tell us your name and DOC number.
Hi, my name is Davin Batiste. My DOC number is 546471.
All right, Mr. Batiste. Let me read some identifying information. I'm going to ask you to confirm it, and Mr. Freeman will take the lead on the interview. We do have joining us today your mother, Ms. Donna Batiste, and your fiance, Ms. St. Romain, both who want to speak on your behalf, and we'll let them do so at the appropriate time. So, Mr. Batiste, you're classified as a third felony offender. You're currently serving a 4-year sentence for fire raising in a correctional facility. You were sentenced as a habitual offender on December 20th, 2022. You had your parole eligibility date was December 8th, 23. You don't earn good time as a habitual offender, and your full term date is December 8th, 2026. Does all that sound correct to you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, would you answer Mr. Freeman, please?
Okay, Mr. Baptiste, how old are you?
35.
How long have you served on this charge?
16 months.
Tell me what happened. I mean, it looks like according to the report, you was trying to light a cigarette?
No, sir. Somebody who had just went in the dorm with me had a piece of paper and the tip of it was black and they call it a wick. And then they said by me being around it, it was mine.
Okay. Did you plead guilty or go to trial?
I went to trial. The
Okay.
guy who was pleaded guilty. They gave him 8 months, ran consecutive, and I pleaded not guilty, so I went to trial and I lost in trial, so they gave me 4 years.
Okay, Mr. Baptiste, what you think causes you problems? I mean, you've been in and out of jail since you were 17 years old. I mean, what's your problem? You got a drug problem, alcohol problem?
Yes, sir. I had a drug problem and drugs and firearms. I had that problem and just gotta leave it alone.
Okay, what did you do to address your problem with the drugs? How are you facing that problem?
Well,
what did you take?
It took time, from one mistake to the next for me to learn. And when I was home on the streets last time, I had checked myself into a rehab, and I guess I grew up and I don't know, I just changed. I didn't want to do it no more. And now now I came here and they put me in another drug program.
That STEP program is a drug program or is it educational program?
It's a drug and anger management program.
I think they can help. Okay, how long does the program last?
Well, it's 3 different steps. It's step 1, step 2, step 3. And if you start in step 1, it's a year. If you start in step 2, is for 8 months, and step 3 is 12 months. I think they all 4 months apiece. Like right now I'm in step 2.
Okay, so when do you feel you'll be completed with the STEP program?
I'm almost finished the last step, right? I mean, I'm almost finished the second step right now. Then I'm in step 3, and after that, then I'll be finished with it.
Okay, and how long you said step 3 lasted?
4 months.
4 months, okay. All right, Yeah, you have strong law enforcement opposition. DA is opposed, the sheriff is opposed. Brittany Saint Remain, your girlfriend, is unopposed. How many children do you have?
6. 7.
Okay.
No, 6.
Okay.
6. I got 6 biological and 1 step.
Okay. Do you have any contact with the children?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how often y'all have contact?
Few times a month.
All right. Do you realize that you have a detainer on you for Georgia? Did they tell you that?
Yeah, yes, sir. That's for a traffic ticket that I had got since 2017.
That DWI?
No. I was driving and I had my ID. I just didn't have my personal driving license on me.
Okay, what's gonna be your residence plan? Where you gonna live if you get out?
With my mother.
Okay, where's your mother live?
Lacombe.
Okay. Where are you gonna work?
Premier Motorsports in Slidell, Louisiana.
Okay, you positive you got that job?
Yes, sir. I talk to my boss quite often, at least once a week.
Had you worked for him before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're lucky he's still holding that.
Yeah.
What about your sobriety plan? How are you gonna stay sober? Tell me what you can do when you're on the streets to make sure you stay sober.
I have one sponsor, but I'm just stay with my family mostly.
You gonna go to meetings?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
They offer any classes over there? I see you hadn't taken many. What classes have you taken?
I took 3
Not
since
over there, but when you was in St. Tammany.
Oh no, they had some classes, but only select few was able to get in them. I guess because they had so many people there. But I used to write for them, but it wasn't. They kept saying that I had too much time.
Your risk is medium, moderate. Needs is low. Warden, have you had any problems with him since he's been there? How's he doing in this step program, Ms. Cook?
We haven't had any problems at all. He's attending his classes. No write-ups in his file or anything. He's doing pretty good here as far as it looks, so.
Right, thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
I have no further questions.
All right, let's hear from Miss Saint Romain. Miss Saint Romain, what would you like us to know? You're on mute.
Where did it go?
There you go. We can go ahead.
I believe in second chances, and when he was home, he worked and then came home, and then we did family days every Sunday with all the kids. We have a little girl. She's almost 1. All his kids are daddy's babies, especially his little girls. But he is a hardworking man. I don't know what else to say because I'm kind of nervous.
That's okay. That's all right. So
he has changed a lot, and he worked from morning till dark and came right home. Or when he would get off, he would go to his mama's house. He was never in any trouble out here. That's all.
Thank you. Ms. Donna Batiste, what would you like us to know?
Yes, hi. I have to say that I have seen a tremendous change in my son the last time he was out. When he first got out, he came to me voluntarily and said, Mom, I feel like I'm having a problem with wanting to do a drug again. Would you please take me somewhere so that I can talk to someone? I don't want to go down that road again. And I took him he found the place and I took him there and he stayed 2 weeks and he was going to classes there. I was very proud of him for stepping up on his own before it became a problem, knowing that's something that he should do, is step out. If I'm have a problem, let's get me some help. And I was proud of him for that. He went to work every day, worked 10 to 16 hours, was coming home, never was going in the streets. He left his old friends alone, which was a big thing. Me and his father both preached to him. People, places, and things. He was following all three of those. Sundays, mandatory. That was his day, his only day off, but it was with his kids. He spent the whole day at the house barbecuing, or he would take them to water parks or, trampoline centers. But those days were for his kids. He took care of his kids financially, never been on child support on any of them. What they needed, he provided. I would call and say, son, you done worked 12 hours today. Come on home. It's getting cold out there. No, Mom, Brielle needs this, or Davy wants this. I'm going to work these extra hours so I can give it to her Saturday. I seen a young boy become a very different man. His outlook with his children, his outlook with his company, his outlook with family, his communication, sitting down, talking, enjoying his family. I couldn't have asked for him to do anything better when he was out the last time. I have had constant contact with him while he has been locked up this last time, which was for this charge before he was out. And like he said, the guy who did start the fire, he did plead guilty. He did say he started it. He's done his time. He's out. I've talked to his employer, who spoke very highly of Davin, his work ethics, took his tools, because he has thousands of dollars worth of tools, locked them up, and said his job is here. If he gets out today, he will work tomorrow, because he is an excellent worker.
Yes, ma'am. Can you wrap it up for us, please? All right. Thank you, ma'am. I think we lost the audio. So, Davin, is there something you'd like to say to us before we vote? Oh, I'm sorry. No, we already heard from Ms. St. Romain. Go ahead, Davin. Is there a statement you want to make?
No, ma'am.
All right. I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Davin, I look at your record and it concerns me. Like I said, you've been arrested, in and out of jail. Your mom talks great about you, thinks you've made the corner. Your fiance feels that you've made the corner. Me, I'm hoping you made the corner, because this is your time now. One more conviction, what that's gonna make you a fourth, you're gonna do some serious time. Okay? So my vote today is to grant conditionally on him completing the STEP program. So you'll have to complete that program before you are released. And for you to attend 3 AA meetings a week upon release. Find you a sponsor. That you got a drug problem. Face it. I'm glad you did go for help last time.
Mrs. Stapleton?
I agree with Mr. Freeman.
And it was good to hear your mother and your fiance talk about how you turned the corner and taking care of your kids. That's great. My vote is the same. So you got to finish the program. You got what, probably 6 months left to go, something like that?
Yes, ma'am, like maybe 5, because the last step is almost over with.
Yep, so just work hard, pay attention, apply what you learn. And then when you get out, you'll have to attend 3 AA meetings, and good luck to you. Wish you well.
So I will be released upon completion?
Yes.
Yes, they'll let us know. We'll issue the parole certificate and you'll be ready to go.
All right, thank y'all.
Okay. I'm gonna send you something down tonight. If they're gonna send me something, I'll send it down.
We have completed enough.
Jeez. I don't know, you completed all the classes.
I sent them all of it. 6 months ago.
They still may ask.
I know, that's what I got.
Whatever they ask you, tell the truth, because I already know.
Oh, yeah, I always do.
Always remember that. So how many classes have you completed? 6?
6 in the school. I completed the shot program before I came here. So.
All right, well, there you are. Sir, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number. Y'all are still on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Claude BOUWELL, 627151.
Yes. 627151. Yes, sir. So let me read identifying information and then we'll get started on the parole interview. Ms. Stapleton will be taking the lead on that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Bowell, how do you say it?
That's right, BOUWELL.
Bowell, okay. Mr. Bowell, you're classified as a fourth felony offender. You're currently serving a 20-year sentence. You have various sentencing dates, starting in 14 for third, operating vehicle while intoxicated, 2018, fourth offense, DWI, and then let's see, then you were revoked. You were placed on probation in 19 for another fourth offense. You have your parole eligibility date is May 1st of this year, 2024. You have an adjusted good time date, which is June 5th, 2025. Is that information correct, sir?
Everything's right, ma'am.
All right. Would you answer Mrs. Stapleton?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Bowell. Well, you've heard the charges. They're extremely serious and they're extensive also. I don't even know why I need to ask why all the DWIs and everything. I just want to say that there's extensive law enforcement opposition. The judge that was involved in this case, the statement that came from them said, why would we do it? Why would we release you just so you do it again?
I've actually, at that time of my life, I was going through a lot. I went through a divorce. I lost my kids in the divorce. I had a lot of stress on me at the time. I've never been this clear-headed in my life. I've went 5 years without any substance of any kind. I've educated myself inside. I've also got my high school diploma inside. I've also completed 6 certificates, graduated the SALSHAP program. I've never been this clear-headed in my life. I've worked at Champion Home Builders for going on ever since I've been here building homes. That's my trade. I'm a carpenter. I've lost my father the last couple of years, and I've also inherited that company that I will take over when I get home. My parents are waiting on me to return to take over the company. My mother is very strong in faith, and so am I. The Lord has granted me another chance, and I've strived to do better, and I see that I have done better. Things that I didn't even think I could do. I taught myself trigonometry. I got my high school's diploma. In the process of doing that, all these classes that I've done and everything that I've done since I've been down, it's really showed me that I can actually do something with my life, and I've done a lot. At that time that I was going through these DWIs that I did, as you can notice, that I did most of them in the same area, the same year. I was going through a divorce with my very love of my life, and I had very stressed with my 3 kids. And I was very angry, and I was having a problem with alcohol a lot at that time. And I'm truthful about that. And I pled guilty to my charge immediately. And I pled guilty to the DWI because I knew I was wrong. But I think I've done my time, and I'm ready to show what I am capable of.
The year, if I'm correct, well, you tell me, what year did that happen in, that all of this? Just to make sure that I'm right here.
The year that I got the divorce, or the year that I got the DWI?
Right. Well, you were saying everything happened at the same time as a result of one.
All of it happened to me in 15, 16, and 17.
And so you were brought to court and charged maybe in 2019. Is that when?
Yes, ma'am.
2019. Children? Do you have children?
Yes, ma'am. I have 3 children, one in college, one finishing high school, and my 14-year-old little baby girl.
Okay. And y'all are in communication and in a good place, you and your children?
Yes, ma'am. Now they've come around the last couple of years. They were very angry at me at the beginning of my jokes for leaving them. And it's understandable. My older children were. My younger one, she's always been more adapted to me, but my older ones are kind of, the older you are, the vendetta, they was kind of angry at me for going to jail for DWI. But now they were at when I got my high school diploma, my mom and dad, when they came to the facility, we've been back together for the last couple of years, talking in good faith and everything.
Well, that's wonderful, Mr. Bowell. Alcoholism is a problem that millions of people suffer from. And it is an ongoing problem, just as though if it was heroin or cocaine or anything else. So I know that it is a huge struggle. The problem is with the DWIs, you can kill somebody on the road. Heroin and cocaine, you might kill yourself, but the DWIs, you kill other people. So I know that would be a huge problem for law enforcement or for a judge or something like that. Something like this were granted and then you relapsed and then somebody lost their life because of it. So that's an issue. But I do see though, like you said, where you've really worked hard and you've got oil and you've taken victim awareness and just all the good programs that you've applied yourself to. And it's really good to hear about that. So I'm going to let my other board members speak now.
Thank you.
Okay, what are you doing at the facility now?
I work at Champion Home Builders. I build trailer homes. I've been building that for quite a few years. I actually run my department. I build.
How long have you been at Champion Builders?
2 different sessions, 3 years.
Okay.
May.
All right. And how much money you have put up?
That I've kept here. I've sent a lot home, but I got about $3 grand.
Okay, and how much have you sent home? Just give me a wild guess.
I've sent home probably $7 grand over the time I've been down. And I've because I bought my daughter a car for college and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. One concerning thing, you had a write-up back in 22.
Yes, sir.
Number 28, aggravated work offense. What happened? What was the deal?
Sir. Oh, well, I had switched jobs from Champions. I worked there for over 1.5 years. And they got me into the high school diploma. So I had to start a job to work at night to where I can go to school during the day. So I did that and I went to the Golden Nugget and I worked there for 1 year because I had to teach myself trigonometry to get the high school diploma. They didn't have that when I was in school. So I learned that and got my high school diploma. But they told me I could go back to Champions to making my good money. But they said that the boss told the warden that I was too good of an employee and he would not release me. So I went to work and told him that I wanted to quit the job to where I could go back to Champions to make my good money to save to get out. And he said, okay, you can. And then when I went back, they said I wasn't allowed to quit and I got wrote up for quitting my job and they put me back at Champions, but I got a write-up for quitting.
Okay, how much you make at Champion?
I make $14 an hour.
Okay. I have no further questions. By the way, congratulations on your GED. I can tell you're proud of it and you should be.
I am kind of proud of it.
Yeah, I agree. You should be. So you lost 30 days with that write-up. 30 days a good time?
Yes, ma'am. But I think I had like 2.5 years of good time, but yes, ma'am, I think so.
You know, you can you can, once you remain 2 years right up free, you can ask to have that restored. You know that?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you mentioned, taking over your family company. What kind of company is that?
Oh, I worked there 17 years, roofing and remodeling and additions. We built homes.
Okay, good. And you mentioned, to Ms. Stapleton, your drinking problems seem to extend further beyond 15, 16, and 17. Because I see your first arrest was in 2012. And you have, well, I quit counting at six arrests for DWIs. The last was in September of 19. So yeah, you have quite an extensive.
I did. I did. But the only thing I say about that is I've never been without drinking as long as I have in my life than right now, 5 years. And I've never been this clear-headed. I think I agreed that I needed this.
Probably saved your life and the lives of other people, I would say.
Most certainly, I was going through a hard time I'm telling you, with my wife and the divorce.
Yeah, but that went back, I'm saying that, I mean, you're always going to have hard times. You're always going to have issues you got to deal with. But it wasn't just divorce, because obviously you had arrests dating back to 2012. But we'll move on. Ms. Cook, what can you tell us about Mr. BOUWELL?
Well, we've had no problem ever since that last ride that y'all was talking about. That's the only one the last one was in there. He goes to work every day. We've had no problem with that. There's no more write-ups or anything like that. He's done pretty good here. And everybody seems to get along with everybody. Everybody likes him, so he's done good.
Well, good deal. Thank you. Mr. BOUWELL, anything you want to say to us before we vote?
No, ma'am. God bless. Thank y'all.
All right, thanks for that.
We're going to executive session.
Yeah, we have a motion for executive
I'll
session
second.
and a second by Mr. Freeman. Can you call the roll?
Cheryl Lawson.
Yes.
Steve Freeman.
Yes.
Carolyn Stanton.
Yes.
Mr. BOUWELL, we're going to be in executive session for a few moments to discuss confidential matters. Stand by. We'll be right back.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, let's hope so.
Oh, so.
All right, Mr. BOUWELL, we're back in session. It is 10:49. We're prepared to vote. Mrs. Stapleton will be voting first.
Mr. Bowell, first of all, I want to tell you, we're all very proud of you about the GED and all the classes you took. That is no small matter. And God help me, I don't think I could learn trigonometry at this age. So I know that that was hard. And I know that you're applying yourself. At this time, I'm going to deny your parole due to extensive law enforcement opposition, but you've got a good time date that is, as I see it, June of 2025. So it's not too far away. So keep up the good work that you're doing and keep your focus so that when you get out, we don't ever see you again and you have a good rest of your life with your family. That's my vote.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman.
With the criminal history, I concur and I vote to.
Mr. Bowl, I do agree. I'm concerned. I'm really proud of the work that you've done and the good things that the facility there has to say about you and the things that you've said and that you're doing well. But because of the opposition that's been expressed, my vote today also is to deny. And you had the write up, and that was less than 2 years ago. So good luck to you, sir. Keep you focused. Keep working.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that conclude? That concludes our business at Southwest. So we're going to sign off at 10:50. Thanks for accommodating us today.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Telling you, them people's hard.
Okay, we are, good morning, the Committee on Parole. We are reconvening. We're at RAYBURN Correctional Center on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024 at 10:55 a.m.
There we go.
Can y'all hear us?
It's on you.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
We had a little technical difficulty for just a second.
Right, well, we did our preliminary, so we'll just ask for y'all to introduce yourselves.
Yes, ma'am. Warden Travis Day.
Deputy Warden Keith Bookham.
Carolyn Thomas, Record Supervisor.
Lexi Kennedy, Classification Administrator.
And Kevin Richard, 112568.
And you are Mr. Richard. I was gonna say Richard. Good morning, Mr. Richard.
Good morning.
So let me introduce, I don't know that you heard Mr. Richard. Let me introduce the panel to you. My name is Cheryl Renanza. I'm chairman today. Seated to my left is Mrs. Stapleton and to my right is Mr. Freeman. Let me read some identifying information into the record and then we'll have a parole interview. We'll ask you some questions. We'll hear from the warden or wardens. And then if you'd like, you can, and we have the DA's office from Jefferson who would like to have input. And at the very end, you'll be allowed to make a statement. So, Mr. Richard, you're classified as the 6th felony offender. Your most recent sentencing is March of 2003. Distribution of cocaine, 6 counts, 1 count of distribution of marijuana, and attempted failure to register as a sex offender. You have a parole eligibility date, which is December 21st of this year. You have an adjusted good time date, which is May 9th of 2025. Is that information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Richard, so tell us about the sex offender registration, the failure to register as a sex offender. What happened with that?
I have problem remembering the dates, and it's like it's not my first time, but the reporter had called one of my sisters and remind me of the dates. I don't know if I was in the hospital at the time because I had surgery on my hand. Twice, I had 2 surgeries on my hand. I probably was in the hospital at the time, but I have problem remembering the dates. You know.
Yeah, but it's not your sister's. I do see, you did say you had, that's not the first time it happened because I see that in 2017, you also had a failure to register.
Yes, ma'am.
That same reason because you forgot the date?
Yeah, I mean, I have probably remember dates because I have a lot of doctor appointments. I have glaucoma. I got hit in my head when I was 2 years old, and I went to brain damage. And I had probably remembering. So they usually call one of my sisters, Sherry or Portia or Deborah, and remind me to go.
Okay. So tell us about your drug issues.
Yeah,
6 counts of distribution of cocaine.
Yeah, I used to sell drugs, but that's not in my, that's not, I don't sell drugs no more,
You're in jail.
Yeah, I don't sell them at all no more. I work, I do a lot of inside work, I do like landscaping, I do housework.
So, but the sentencing, let me see, it was in 2023, so just a year ago, or well, I guess it would have been 2022, just a year ago, you started doing the landscaping work?
No, I've been doing that all my life. I do
I see. You were saying, I see what it is. That arrest was in 2004. And you pled guilty in 2005. You were sentenced to 25 years. Okay. You have a very extensive criminal record, Mr. Richard. You have, and it includes crimes of violence, which is very concerning. Dates. The first one I saw was 1983. That was armed robbery. You do have a history of sex offenses. I see in 2002 and 3 assault or injury to family members. I think you were in Texas at the time. So you tell us about why all the violence.
So I never had an assault charge in my life.
You never had a sex charge?
Assault? You say assault charge?
So, yeah.
I never had an assault charge. I never had an assault charge. No, none of my family members.
This says April of 2003 by the Round Rock, Texas Police Department, assault causing injury to family member. That's not you?
No, ma'am. That's not me. I never hit none one of my family members.
Then there was another one, September 29th, 2002 in Killeen, Texas. Assault causing bodily injury.
I never had an assault charge nowhere in Killeen, Texas. I stayed with my sister Cherie.
Been in Killeen, Texas before?
Yeah, I stayed with, she should be on the panel right there. She put that locked in on. I never had a violent charge with none of my people.
All right. So tell us about your time there at Rayburn. What have you done since you've been there?
Well, I've been there about 7 months. I did pre-release, you know, and that's about it. I'm backlog for parenting and a few other classes that I know of.
Well, good. Did you get any good time credits for your pre-release? Yeah, I do see it. CTRP. Yeah, you did. I see that. So you're not enrolled in anything right now?
It got me backlog. I think they said I was backlog for a few classes, parenting and a few other classes, anger management or whatever. You know, they said.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Do you see mental health staff there? Do you see a social worker or a psychiatrist or anybody?
No, not since I've been here.
Okay. Before you got there, were you under the care of a mental health professional?
I go to mental health on the street, you know, Medicaid and all that. You know, I go to mental health on the street, yeah, when I'm free.
You were on the street, were you taking any mental health medication?
Yeah, I took nerve pills.
Yeah, but you don't have the need for that now, do you? Or do you?
No, ma'am.
I see that you've had no write-ups during this period of incarceration, at least. That's good. And you did living in balance before you were released on good time? You took that program?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Warden, what can you tell us about Mr. Richard?
Kevin's got a vision impairment. He doesn't work. He does some light work inside. When you do ask him about this stuff, he can remember the changes or mistakes you make. Outside of that, his record pretty much speaks for itself.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right. Well, before we ask the DA for his comments, Mr. Richard, is there anything, you said your sister was supposed to join us. We don't have her as listed today, so she wasn't able to join in, I guess. So is there anything you'd like to say to us before we ask the DA for his comments?
Yeah, you know, I'm sorry for any problem I caused because I forgot to register. And I'm very sorry if I hurt anybody any kind of way about, you know, forgot to register.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. Mr. Meyer, we'd like to hear from you. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. I can't hear.
All right, is that better?
Got it, yes.
Sorry, Randy Meyer, Assistant DA in Jefferson Parish. We're opposed at this time. Mr. Richard, I think he needs some more programming to help him when he gets out, so he's got the tools to stay out. You know, he's got he was released on a good time, and then was revoked for failure to register for a second time. Poor supervision while the times he's been under supervision. And I'm glad to see that during this incarceration, he hadn't had any write-ups yet, but the prior incarceration between 2005 and 2015, he had 45 write-ups with pretty much one every year. And all of the programming he has taken really has been prior to this incarceration. I think he needs some long-term substance abuse. I think he needs some help with anger management. He's got a history of some violent acts with his criminal record, theft, rapes, assaults, and a long history of selling drugs, which I think the substance abuse would be very helpful for that. So for those reasons, we're opposed at this time to his request.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Richard, we're prepared to vote. I'll be voting first. Mr. Richard, I'm glad to know that you're backlogged for some classes. I do agree with the district attorney's office that I think you would benefit from some additional programs. You do have a good time date, which is a little over a year away, May 9th of next year. So if you do get to do programming, you'll get to earn a little bit of that good time to have an earlier release. You have a history of revocation. You've been revoked at least 3 times. Again, this is not, I hear what you say, you forget the dates, but this is not your first failure to register as a sex offender. That's a pretty serious offense. So my vote today is going to be to deny your paroles for those reasons. Mrs. Stapleton?
I agree with my board member.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur due to criminal history and supervision.
Right. So today, Mr. Richard, your parole has been denied, sir. Good luck to you.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Gary.
I thought you were supposed to be that the switch was in this room.
All right, good morning. Mr. Garrick, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Derek P. Alleman, 737-211.
All right, Mr. Alleman. My name is Cheryl Renatza. Mrs. Stapleton is seated to my left and Mr. Freeman is seated to my right. Let me read some identifying information into the record. I'll ask you to verify that information, and Ms. Stapleton will take the lead on the parole interview with you. Now, let me let you know that we have some folks who are joining us by Zoom. We have your mother, Ms. Alleman, here in support. She'll be speaking on your behalf. We also have representatives from the St. Tammany Council on Aging and Liberty Self-Storage, both who want to speak in opposition, and we'll hear from them at the appropriate time. So let's see, Mr. Alleman, you're classified as a third felony offender. You're currently serving a 10-year sentence. You were sentenced in February of 2022. Possession of heroin, possession of methamphetamine, and contraband, and as a habitual offender, second for theft, 3 counts. You have a parole eligibility date, which is July 2nd, 2024, and your adjusted good time date is October 3rd, 2031. Does all that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Would you answer Mrs. Stapleton's questions?
Mr. Alleman, I wanted to ask you, you have an extensive theft record. The total number that I had gotten was 70 catalytic converters, and you still have warrants outstanding on that. So what caused you to do that?
I was buying them off the street, and I just was running them through my company, and I didn't do all the correct paperwork. That's why I got the charge. I got the charge.
You didn't know they were stolen?
At the end, I did, yes, ma'am.
But in the beginning, you know.
No, ma'am, I didn't at the beginning.
Same person bringing them to you?
No, several people.
Several. Okay. So you were buying stolen goods and you weren't aware of it until later on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, at the end, I was, you know, I was aware at the end that I was buying stolen goods, but I was too deep into it by then. And, you know.
Too deep into it to stop doing it or to tell on them?
It was COVID and jobs were lost and this and that and other. So the money that was coming in from them was good, and I didn't say anything. So that was my fault. And,
yeah, so that makes you an accomplice, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me ask you something. With the drugs, I mean, that's a big deal here. The methamphetamines, the heroin. Would that have caused you maybe to do what you did to get the money?
It was definitely a factor. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was injured in a couple car crashes before this, and the medicines that the doctor stuck me on were working until I got a DWI on the medicines. So then I was taken abruptly off the medicines, and to keep from getting sick, I went to the street drugs. And then with the money coming in and COVID and everything, it all just kind of worked out with the money, and I am guilty. Yes, ma'am.
Question for you about domestic violence. 2017 domestic violence with a weapon, aggravated battery, false imprisonment. 2008, another one, domestic violence, second degree battery. What's going on with that? Oh, one of them, in 2018. Yeah, domestic violence with strangulation.
They put that, the sheriff's department put that down as extra charges. That never happened. I just didn't answer the door when they came, and it made them angry. And so they wrote down a whole bunch of charges that did not go down like that.
So a female didn't say that you had done that to her? A female didn't say that you had done those things to her? I just made it up.
No, she was bleeding where she smashed a bottle on the coffee table and it cut her, and she was drinking all that day, not even around me. And when she came, and then she kept on and kept on until the neighbors called the law, and she went to jail too for making a call. And then eventually it was all, yeah, it all came out in the wash in front of the judge. It all came out in the wash that it didn't go down like that. I didn't put my hands on her. The police wrote it down like that because they were upset because I wouldn't answer the door. And I wouldn't answer the door because she was out there with all this craziness that I didn't do. I did not put my hands on her. I've never put my hands on a woman. I have had altercations with fistfights with other fellers that, you know, I was arrested for, but as far as put my hands on a woman, I will not take that charge.
Okay, I wanted to ask about that.
Yes, ma'am.
What about programs that you've been involved in? Have you been involved in some programs, especially with your drug addiction?
Yes, ma'am. I took living in balance in Caldwell, and in a transition from prison to prison, they won't let you just keep paperwork or whatever. So I mailed it home to my mom, and my mom and dad are very old. Yeah, they almost need me home to take care of them right now. They can't find where I sent it in the paperwork. My mom's got two or three files for me, and she can't find the paperwork for the living in balance certificate, which I have been.
It's listed, so because I've got it. So you got living in balance,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
you've also got PJ-REV. So they have it in their records. So you're okay.
And I'm in
um,
right now, and I'm also in pre-release right now. I think about another 4 weeks, because we get one class a week, so about another 4 weeks, and I should be finished with both of those.
Yeah. So I see also were AA and NA.
Yes, ma'am. I finished that last Monday.
Yeah. A lot of them in 2023 and then 2024. Okay,
ma'am.
so that pretty much answers my question. I'll pass along to other board members. Any questions?
All right, Warden, what can you add?
Garrick's only been here 4 months. We don't have, you know, he hasn't established much of a track record. He's been in his classes, about all I can tell you.
Thank you. Ms. ALEMAN, are you on the line with us? We'd like to hear from you, ma'am. Miss Judy? Now she must be having trouble connecting. While we wait, while we see if she can connect, if she connects, we'll allow her to speak, Mr. ALEMAN, but she must be having some troubles. Is there anything you'd like to say to us? And then we'll hear from those who want to speak in opposition. What would you like us to know, Mr. ALEMAN?
My plans when I get out are to continue with AA and NA meetings and to find a mentor to help me with my addiction problems. You know, I'll have to do this for the rest of my life. I understand that. I fully understand.
Hello?
That. And okay.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, I'm his mom, and my husband and I had surgery, and I'm home, and his dad just got out the hospital. He has congestive heart failure, and he's home, so we really could use GARIC's help. I don't know what else to say. You know, like I said, we both in not good condition. I had surgery on the 12th of March, and I was in the hospital like 3 weeks. And they say I will be recovering for 3 to 4 months. And his dad was in the hospital. He was in rehab and in the hospital for 3 months. So we're both home trying to recuperate. And of course, we could use GARIC's help.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you I'm glad you got in, and I'm glad that both you and he are at home and are recovering. Yes,
Thank you so much.
All right, Garrett, we're gonna go and ask for the opposition. Is Mr. Chris Hodge on the line with us?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
All right, go ahead. What would you like us to know?
I would just like to know, or like you guys to know that, it wasn't just like monetary loss that we lost with those catalytic converters, thefts. People lost their ability to go to dialysis and doctor's appointments and work. And, the opportunity for the elderly that we transport as well to have at least one hot meal a day. So I would, just like to say that people really need to think about what they're doing and how it's going to affect everybody.
Right, thank you. We do appreciate the input from the Council on Aging. Thank you so much. Is Nikki Martin with us from Liberty Self Storage? You'll have them on the line where they're trying to come in.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Hi.
Go ahead.
I feel the same way as Chris Hodge feels. I mean, our catalytic converter was part of our business for our customers, and we were unable to deliver our services as well. So, I mean, I would like restitution for what was stolen and that we had to replace in order to go back into business. And yeah, I feel the same. I think people need to think about what they're doing that affects everyone else, not just in the moment.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us this morning. Mr. Alleman.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we're ready to vote. We'll get Ms. Stapleton. We'll be voting first.
Can we do that executive session?
We have a motion for executive session.
I second.
Can you call the roll, please?
Cheryl Ronson.
Yes.
P3.
Yes.
Carolyn Stapleton.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Alleman, we'll be in executive session for a few moments to discuss confidential matters. Stand by. We'll be right back.
Yes, ma'am.
That was somebody showed up at court.
Two
different.
No, they
Two of the victims.
two of the victims.
Mom, you don't know if they can hear you or not, so I wouldn't be saying it doesn't matter.
Okay.
You don't know.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not.
Oh, God.
So the victims were notified.
Yeah.
How can they prove it was him? Everyone on video. Got him on security cameras.
They had security cameras on.
He pled guilty and they had security cameras.
Oh, well, it is what it is.
Well, she'll know an answer one way or the other in a second. Huh?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Alleman, we're back in session. And it is 11:26 and we are prepared to vote. Mrs. Stapleton will be voting first.
Mr. Almond, I'm going to recommend that you're not granted parole today, and it's due to victim opposition, and you heard some of the consequences of your actions. They were very dire for the Council on Aging particularly. So that's going to be, it's going to be victim opposition, and that I would like for you to attend victim awareness classes.
Mr. Freeman?
My vote is also to deny not enough time served victim.
And, Mr. Allen, I do agree based on the, opposition that's been expressed here today and the other opposition that's in the record. You know, I think you need to seek some treatment for your drug addiction, and I do agree you should seek, enrollment in the victim awareness classes. So today, sir, your parole is being denied. Good luck to you, sir.
And you were right. He said he was getting off the street and then he was going to a junkyard and paying a little bit extra. He was the side man. He was the main man. He was the side man.
He wouldn't. He said he could get them off the cars on the side of the house.
All right, good morning. Yes, we're still morning. Yep, still morning. Mr. Claude, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please. Y'all are still on mute?
Are we good now?
Yes,
All right,
yes.
yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
My name is Claude Foray. My DOC number is 752-027.
All right, good. Thank you. Yes, sir. And we have joining us, and we'll call on him at the appropriate time. We have your brother, Brian Foray, and he wants to speak on your behalf, and we'll ask him to do so at the appropriate time.
Thank you.
First, Mr. Foray, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then I'm going to ask you to confirm it, and then we'll have our whole interview. We'll hear from the warden, and then we'll ask your brother for his remarks. If you'd like, at the end, before we vote, you'll be allowed to make a statement as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Foray, you are classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 13-year sentence. You were sentenced in January of 2020 for indecent behavior with a juvenile. You have a parole eligibility date, which is later this year, December 27th. You don't earn good time, so your full term date is December 26, 2031. Does all that sound correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, Mr. Foray, your case has been assigned to me, so I'll take the lead on the interview. So you, how old are you, sir?
65.
And how long have you been in jail?
I'd say a total of 5 years, all of 2019 up until the current date.
So you've been in jail 5 of 13 years, right?
5.
5 years of your 13-year sentence is what I'm trying to get at. Okay. And what's your education level?
High school GED.
Okay. So, the victim in this case, how old was she?
I believe 13.
13, and you are her caregiver?
Well, her father and her younger sibling lived with us for, I'd say, about a year.
Right, and you put her on the bus and that kind of stuff. I saw that she got to school and so forth.
Yes, we lived at our residence. So, we supplied meals, and of course they live rent free, and
Okay.
purchase all
I
the.
I saw that you were helping the dad, her at least her dad.
Yeah.
while he was doing work and established. I do see this. And
Yeah.
So you sexually assaulted Haley on multiple occasions. That's what the record reflects. Do you dispute that?
Yes, ma'am, because I was charged with indecent behavior.
But
I admitted to that. I accept responsibility for that, ma'am.
But you entered a plea deal. You had a plea agreement.
Yes, ma'am.
And the record clearly reflects that you sexually assaulted the 12-year-old child on multiple occasions over the course of a couple of years. And actually, you and she had sexual relations 3 or 4 times during that 2-year period. Have you been to, I see in your record that you've taken some sex offender treatment. Have you completed all phases of that program?
I'm currently in phase 4.
Good. So what have you learned so far in phases 1 through 3? What have you learned about you?
I've learned to take accountability, and just, I'm the adult in the room, and I know I've done wrong, and I accept that. And another thing I've learned, my first time being incarcerated, I thought I was on an island alone, and I'm not, and I'm strengthening myself through the class and other classes as well. I've done 12-step. Man, I'm taking all that in this is all new for me, the lifestyle, but I'm better. I've bettered myself, not only through the BETG classes, but through the 12-step and through ministry. And I'm not that person anymore. I've learned to let that burden go and give that to a higher power.
Good. So you mentioned the 12-step. You had some substance abuse issues?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I elected to do that just for the fellowship, because we all have demons, we all have addictions, and that was mine. And
Okay.
I've learned from that.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. You must know that there is opposition that's been expressed to any consideration for early release for you. And I'm just going to make you aware of it from the DA's office in St. Charles Parish, from the Sheriff's office in St. Charles Parish, and also victim opposition. I do see that, let's see, you got a write-up in You only have two, and the last I see was October of 2022. That was a contraband write-up. What was the contraband?
Not being able to urinate.
For the
That-
drug test?
Excuse me?
Didn't take the drug test?
Yes, ma'am, and I've rectified that because that was a medical issue. And after the second write-up for that, I got to see the doctor where I could have access to a catheter,
Okay.
and that was okayed, and since then that issue's been taken care of, and
So have you ever tested positive for a drug screen?
no, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
drug-free, alcohol-free, smoke-free.
Good. Warden, what can you tell us about Mr. FORET?
I can say his duty status does have a catheter thing on it from the doctor. He's been pretty low key since he's been here. That's regular speaks for itself after that.
Press, so,
I'm sorry. I did miss that. He has qualified for our honors program.
Oh, good.
Our
Press, that's what he was saying. Okay, good. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so we'll hear from Mr. Brian FORET at this time. Mr. Brian?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, Madam Chair, members of the board, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to address you today. I'm really here, I've elected to be here as a character reference for my brother and to really ask for his consideration for parole, obviously. But I can tell you that as long as I've known my brother, I've never known him to be violent, dishonest, or really even a deviant, or to even behave outside the normal legal boundaries. It just wasn't him. So when all this occurred, it was a total shock to me and the rest of my family, really. So I'm not surprised that he would admit he'd made a terrible mistake because his actions were reprehensible. And so I do see, and I'm glad to hear that he takes full responsibility. We've talked about that several times, and I think he's come to accept the judgment and the penalty of his actions. We've talked numerous times during the week. We correspond, and I try to visit as often as I can be back here. And I can tell you that I've seen him metamorphose over the last year or so as he's taken what he's done and the consequences of his actions to heart. So, but whether this is enough and whether justice has been served is for you guys to decide that. But in my heart, in my mind, if true rehabilitation is one of the main objectives of his incarceration, I believe he's absolutely ready for a second chance here because this is really his first time in any kind of problems with the law. I know that he's tried to be a model prisoner. I know that he's taken advantage of just about every opportunity afforded him in the way of classes and programs to improve himself. We talk about all of that. I do know that he has taken part in the 12 Steps programs because I have been in Al-Anon myself over the years and have encouraged him to take advantage of those type of things. And I do know he's also adopted a practice of personal reflection in his life, which is good. So, I know and I see that it's helping him with his personal journey. And so there's no doubt in my mind that he has paid a price for his crime above the time that he served and the loss of his personal freedom. It's been the source of the breakup of his family, the loss of his livelihood, the separation from his parents from his children and his grandchildren. And it's a price that we have all had to pay, not just him, because of his actions. And I would like to take the opportunity, if I could, just to share one example of this, and I'll try to be brief. But over the past year or so, Claude, while he was inmate, both of my parents passed away. And he could not be there for the passing. And I cared for them through their time of cancer and their treatments and the period of hospice care and their final death and all the arrangements that required and the resolution of their estates. And for a while, I held a bit of a resentment toward my brother for not being around to help. But with all of that, excuse me. With all of that, I know that my younger brother has always been much closer. And I know that for him not being there, excuse me, took a significant toll on him and I. And I know that his arrest, his trial, and conviction and incarceration was a deep emotional blow. And it was never one they recovered from.
Mr. FORET, I know this is really emotional for you, and I don't want to cut you off, but we need you to wrap it up, sir.
So I'll just end that he knows this and he will have to live with that for the rest of his life as well. So my only point in making all this was that it's more than just the time served, but you guys know that. And you guys know that the toll that crime takes on not just the victims, but on the families. I would just like to say that in closing for this is that we have my wife and I help him during his custody. And we also have agreed to make arrangements for him for if and when he gets out for some financial resources to be available for him to make a second start. And I can tell you that one of his 6 children has also agreed to make provisions and to provide for a place for him to live, for employment and to help him with the work that he'll need for the conditions of his parole. So I look forward to once again him being out and free, and you know, I probably am closer now with my brother than I've ever been. There is 6 years difference, but I've got to know him in ways before. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and thank you again for letting me take your time to do this.
And where are you calling us from?
My wife and I are retired now. We live in Florida.
Okay, I just did recognize the area code. I'm glad you took the time.
I'm a graduate of LSU and have had a successful career there as an architect, and now I'm retired and I try to get back and take care of him as best I can. So
yeah, thanks for joining us today. Let me ask Mr. Claude, is there anything you'd like to say to wrap it up for us?
Yes, ma'am. Let me prove to you that our system works. That, you know, second chances do work. And hopefully you make the right decision to grant parole. Well, I can be a productive, law-abiding citizen once again. I did consider at one time myself a good father and a good husband, a good employer, a great employer. And, I was very successful as well. I didn't do the same kind of work my brother did, but, I did have steady work. I don't ever recall going unemployed since I've been 15 years old. So I've done 15 years in the oil field. I've done some driving. I've done a little bit of everything to provide. So I have a feeling of penitent, regret for having done wrong, and I take full responsibility and accountability for that. A cleansing of my inventory, so to speak, ministry through our fellowship programs here. And I just want to close out to say, for me, it's been a very humiliating and humbling experience, but nothing compares to the damage I've done. And I can only just try to make things better, just make things right, and reassure you, this will never happen again. That's pretty much all I can say.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And, you know, I think we're ready to vote. I'll be voting first.
I wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. FORET, I am the crime victims advocate on this board, representing crime victims. You're not hearing from the little girl right now. You're not hearing from her daddy, who trusted you with his daughter, okay? And I think that there's no DA or anybody else here to speak for this child. But you say you've handed it over to God and you've been able to forgive yourself and you're doing all these programs and everything. That's fine. But that little girl, that was the ultimate betrayal, and her innocence was lost. She will never get it back. There's no cleansing for her. Recidivism rate for what you've done is very high, sadly. So that's a big problem for other children. And thank God for the school, because this went on for 2 years and nobody seemed to notice. But a teacher at the school, and then they called the police. I don't even know how long this baby would have suffered from something like this. So I understand your brother's upset, and I understand your brother loves you, and I understand that completely. But I don't know. I think you were a grown man with a little girl. I just can't even go there other than to say, I feel so sorry for that little girl. So, you know, on behalf of the victim, that's all I have to say.
All right. You want to go ahead and vote?
Yeah, I vote to deny your parole based upon strong opposition and the crime itself.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur, because I don't think you've served enough time for what has happened. As she said, you took the innocence away from a very young girl, and you have adamant victim opposition. So my vote is to deny.
Mr. FORET, I do agree. My vote, you have not completed the sex offender treatment program. I could not vote in your favor until that has been completed. My vote today also is to deny based on the opposition that I mentioned to you. I would recommend that you ask to enroll in a victim awareness program. There's lots of victims in your case, the little girl as well as your own family, and also a Thinking for Change class. You will have the opportunity, I believe, you'll have the opportunity to apply for another parole hearing. But you can't do that until after you finish the sex offender treatment, and I would recommend these other programs. Today, sir, your parole's being denied. Good luck to you, sir. Warden Bickham, that concludes our business, I believe. At your facility, we're going to adjourn. It's 11:51. Thanks for accommodating us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.